You're listening to WCAT Radio, your home for authentic Catholic programming.
Welcome. My name is Frank Ambrosio. I'm the co-director of the My Dante project at Georgetown University. It's my great pleasure today to welcome you to a reading of Inferno, the first canticle of Dante's Divine Comedy. It's voiced by Danny Fitzpatrick, and he's reading his own translation of the poem, which he recently completed in commemoration of the 700th anniversary of Dante's death in 1321. Poetry is meant to be spoken and heard. As Danny speaks, listen for the simplicity and economy of the English words and rhythms which Danny has discovered at work in Dante's native Italian. In their music and textures, we hear the primal power with which they break forth from silence, revealing the whole world, together with all of us, the living and the dead. So let's join Danny Fitzpatrick now on Dante's journey.
Hello and welcome back to the Dante in a Year podcast. My name is Danny Fitzpatrick. Today, we continue with Dante's Inferno, Canto 30. In the time that Juno was enraged by Semele against the Theban blood, as she showed one and the other time, Atamas became so insane that seeing his wife come along with two sons, bearing one on either arm, he cried, "Hold open the nets, that I might snatch the lioness and little cubs at their crossing." And then he stretched his pitiless claws, taking the one named Learchus, and wheeled about and struck him on a stone, and that one drowned herself with her other cargo. And when fortune had battled down the Trojan loftiness which dared all, such that king and kingdom were cast down together, Hecuba, sad, miserable, and captive, once she'd seen Polyxena killed, and her own Polydorus on the shore of the sea, the shrewd, sorrowful woman forsook her sense and howled like a dog. So much had sadness twisted her mind. But no fury of Thebes or Troy was ever seen in such cruelty, not tearing beasts nor human limbs, as I saw in two shades, death-white and nude, who coursed on, gnashing in the fashion of the pig from the opened pen. The one reached Capocchio, and gored him in the knot of the neck, so that with dragging it made him grate his belly on the bed of stone. And the Aretine who remained trembling said to me, "That foul elf is Johnny Skeeky, and he goes thus rabid, ripping up the others." "Oh," I said to him, "that the other may not fix its teeth in your back, be not too fatigued to say who it is, before it speeds from here." And he to me, "That is the ancient soul of villainous Mira, who became beloved of her father beyond the bounds of love. She came thus to sin with him, falsified with another's form, as the other that came there, pretending, to gain the queen of the throng, to be Buoso Donati himself, establishing a regular testament. And after the two rabid ones had passed on whom I'd held my eye, I turned to regard the others born for evil. I saw one fitted to the guise of a lute, for he had had his groin cut off from the rest where a man is forked. The gravid dropsy that so distends the limbs with the ill-converted humour that the face no longer fits the belly, made him hold his lips apart, as the hectic fever makes one in his thirst curl the one to the chin and the other upward. "O you who are without penalty, and I don't know why in the tortured world," he said to us, "watch and attend to the misery of Master Adam. I was alive, filled with that I wished, and now, alas, I long for a drop of water. The rushets that descend the green shoulders of the Casentine to join in the Arno, making their channels frigid and moist, stay ever before me, and not for nothing, for the image of their ways tries me more than the evil that discards my face. The rigid justice that searches me draws cause from the place where I sinned to set my breath more to flight. There's Romena, there where I muddled the alloy sealed by the Baptist, for which I left the body burned above. But if I were to see here the sad soul of Guido or of Alessandro or their brother, I'd not give back the sight for Fontebranda. The one is here within, if the enraged shades that come among us speak truth. But what does it avail me, who have my members bound? If I were only yet so light that I could move an inch in 100 years, I would have set myself already to see him, searching him out among this disgraced people, with all that it runs 11 miles, and no less than half a mile across. I am among such family on their account, for they induced me to beat the florins that had 3 carats of dross. And I to him, Who are the 2 knaves who fume as hands bathed in winter, lying so close to your right boundary? I found them here, and they didn't turn then either, he responded, when I reined into this manger, and I don't believe they will in all eternity. The one is the false woman who accused Joseph. The other is the false Sinon, the Greek of Troy. Harsh fever makes them give such leprous stench. And one of them, who reckoned it hateful perhaps to be named so darkly, struck him a punch in the hard gut. That sounded as if it were a drum, and Master Adam smashed his face with his arm, which seemed no less hard, saying to him, Though still I may not raise myself to move for such heavy members, I have an arm free for such work. To which he responded, When you came to the flame it was not so swift, but it had speed enough when you were coining. And the dropsical one, You speak truth in this, but you were not so true a witness there where they requested truth at Troy. If I spoke false and you falsified the coin, said Sinon, then I am here for one fault, and you for more than any other demon. Remember the horse, perjurer, replied the one with the inflated paunch, and let it burden you that all the world knows it. And you must bear the thirst that cracks your tongue, said the Greek, and the rotten water that so swells your belly before your eyes. And now the money-maker. Thus your mouth is ripped open for your usual evil. If I thirst and the humor inflates me, you have your burning and a head that hurts you, and to lick Narcissus's mirror, you'd not need my words an invitation. I was all fixed in place to listen, when the master said to me, Now just look, and see in a bit if I don't brawl with you. When I sensed him speaking in ire, I turned myself toward him with such shame as still circles through my memory. As is he who dreams that he's damaged, who in dreaming desires to dream, so eager for what is as being not. So was I, unable to speak, who wished him to excuse me, and excused myself all along, and did not know I did. Less shame would wash a greater defect, said the master, than yours. So cast the weight away of all distress. And recall that I am always beside you, if it should come again that fortune gather you up where people are in similar spats. For the will to hear such things is base. Thanks for joining me for another episode of the Dante in a Year podcast. See you next time for Dante's Inferno, Canto 31.
Hello, God's beloved. I'm Annabelle Mosley, author, professor of theology, and host of Then Sings My Soul and Destination Sainthood on WCAT Radio. I invite you to listen in and find inspiration along this sacred journey we're traveling together to make our lives a masterpiece and, with God's grace, become saints. Join me, Annabelle Mosley, for Then Sings My Soul and Destination Sainthood on WCAT Radio. God bless you. Remember, you're never alone. God is always with you.
Thank you for listening to a production of WCAT Radio. Please join us in our mission of evangelization, and don't forget, love lifts up when knowledge takes flight.